From the ECSI Sports Studios and the #1 sports investors in America, we bring you the Closing Bell. As the market closes, legends Jeff Dawson and Riley Magnuson bring you all the sports investing tips for tonight's matchups. If you want to learn more from the two legends at the desk, make sure you stay tuned to the Closing Bell.
Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. This is East Coast Sports Investors Closing Bell for Thursday, September 7th. And if you are an NFL fan, you know what the hell that means. We've got NFL action tonight. I have been waiting for this one for a long time, not just tonight, but obviously Sunday's kickoff as well. Football season is Christmas time for me in my lanes that I am in, so I have been juiced and ready to rock and roll. We've obviously got the Chiefs hosting the Detroit Lions tonight. Very, very interesting game. Should be very interesting, very good, hopefully. But we've obviously got a defending Super Bowl champion team that is one of, if not your own, personal favorite to repeat here again this season. And you've got the trendy up-and-coming pick to maybe not win the Super Bowl. I'm sure some people do have the Lions as that team, but winning taking over the NFC North essentially, making a playoff run of their own. So I cannot wait for this one. As a diehard Packers fan, obviously I've got my rooting interest to not let this Detroit Lions team take over the NFC North, but not necessarily happening tonight, win or lose. So I am very excited for this one. Obviously, the big story right now is trying to decipher or have any insight or have any news ahead of kickoff if Travis Kelce is going to play or not. With the question marks surrounding it, the line has dropped down to 4.5. Chiefs -4.5. Not sure what else it's going to do. If he's ruled out, I wouldn't expect it to go much. I don't think it's going to go down to 3.5 or less than a field goal. If it does go less than a field goal, then that would be shocking to go from whatever it was 6.5 to all the way down under a field goal just for one receiving option. As good as he obviously is, but the Kansas City Chiefs obviously still have Patrick Mahomes. Will they be under a little bit of a Super Bowl hangover? That is one of the bigger questions tonight. I've got a little prop action tonight. I don't, as of right now, have a play on the spread or the total in this one necessarily. Not a ton of success out of the gates in the opening night of the season when you have like I said, a Super Bowl champion. You don't know if they're going to look like the Kansas City Chiefs that we know and love, or if they're going to have a little bit of a Super Bowl hangover, like I said there. Not to mention the Detroit Lions team that, yes, they are the trendy pick, but they also started off rough out of the gates last year. So I'm curious to see how they come out of the gates tonight and in the season in general. The Detroit Lions, that is. So a little bit of moving parts, though. Obviously, for the Detroit Lions offense, you've got a new running back room, which we will talk as far as the prop market is concerned. That is kind of the main headline of where I'm going to be taking my picks the couple of picks that I do have tonight. But obviously David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs switching in for DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams. So interesting. As far as replacements go, those two guys are obviously pretty capable. Gibbs, the jury is out. As an NFL player, he's obviously a first-round rookie, but interested to see how that works out. But obviously, it might not matter that much if the Kansas City Chiefs or if the Detroit Lions are playing from well behind in this game. They're going to be passing a lot, but not necessarily predicting that to be the case necessarily, as you will see in the picks that I've got going on in a second. But I think the biggest thing here, and I can understand it, the biggest thing as far as whether it's the game total, the spread, or just anything else, you as a bettor have the luxury of, if you aren't sure and it's still almost almost 3 hours till game time, 3.5 hours till game time, you've had all this time to think about it. It's not something you've had circled in your schedule. I'm betting this here or blah, blah, blah. If you don't know and you don't have a certain amount of confidence, it might not be fun, but you have the option of not doing anything tonight and saving whether it's finding another angle in this game or waiting until Sunday. Is it fun and do you want to have some type of action? Absolutely, and I get it if you're an entertainment bettor, that is. I get it. I'm sure by the time game starts, I might have a tiny little scrap parlay or something like that, which obviously is not positive value necessarily. But obviously, everyone wants to have fun. But you don't have to try and pick the winner of this game or the spread if you don't have a certain type of feeling about it, one way or another, or the total necessarily. That's why I went to where I did. I saw something that I liked, and I fired away on it as my main plays for the games tonight. So that is just that little sermon. And any game, whether it's a Thursday night, Monday night, random Sunday game, if you don't have a certain feeling towards it, a strong feeling toward it, you have the luxury of staying away. As opposed to the people who set these odds, they have to deal with win or loss on every single thing that they set out there. You don't have to if you don't want to, and if you don't have a certain amount of confidence for it. So, with that being said, I don't really, and I'm saying that because I don't know what I want to do and I'm probably not going to do anything for the spread or the total because I just don't know. As far as the total is concerned, could this one be a shootout and it's a 35-31 opening week classic or something along those lines? Absolutely, it could. But when you've got a Chiefs team and a trendy Lions team with a very successful offense last year, the total is going to be a little inflated on a standalone game, especially the opening kickoff. So, not sitting here telling you to take the under necessarily, but just saying that it is probably a little more inflated than what a random Sunday in November might be if this was a noon game or something like that, as opposed to the opening night Thursday night game where people are going to be looking for some points tonight. So, again, not saying that to say you should take the under because we all know this one could get out of hand on both sides of things with these offenses. So, if you had going back to the opening sermon, if you said these two teams are going to be putting up 40 points because of this reason, and this reason, and you can coherently tell yourself and convince yourself that, then go ahead and take the over. But if not, and you're a person who likes to take the under on an inflated total, then fire away in the under. But that's obviously not, if we're looking for entertainment, that's obviously not entertaining if this game's flying over the total. So as far as that's concerned, I don't know what's going to happen as far as that total. And as far as the spread, I also really don't know. If my gut is anything as far as I don't really know, then my gut's telling me to stay the hell away. But you've got a Kansas City Chiefs team that even without Travis Kelce can still do a lot of successful things. This Detroit Lions defense was very inconsistent and streaky at times, so this might be a simple case of this Patrick Mahomes might be able to handle this Kansas City defense very well. As far as the Detroit Lions is concerned, like I said, they came out of the gates slow last year, so I need them to prove to me out of the gates. I would, even if they do what they did last year and they're obviously they weren't 2-5, but 2-5 out of the gates this year, I feel probably pretty confident that they're probably going to turn things around at that point without I'm drawing a blank on what their schedule is, but you get the point. It could be a similar situation. Not suggesting that's definitely what's going to happen, but for me to on night one to have the confidence of taking them against the Super Bowl champs, I need that prior convincing that they are going to come out of the gates and be a different team in the first half of this season. Mainly on defense, obviously. Their offense was fine out of the gates, but that defense last year was really, really ugly. And now you were relying on a lot of guys to make a jump here in whatever year 2, 3, 4, whatever it is in this defense. And I do think that could happen, but there could be some problems for this defense out of the gate. So that is why I am staying far away from this spread. If Travis Kelce is out, then obviously whatever the line does is a big factor there. If it doesn't move at all and everyone's panicking and flooding to the Lions because Travis Kelce is out and it's still 4.5, then I might be going contrarian and saying the Chiefs can still win by a touchdown at least. So again, to go back to what I said, I don't have a strong confidence, so I am staying far, far away from it. The one thing that I did want to bring to the table as far as a prop is concerned, as far as touchdown scorers, I have made the personal note. I've had a lot of success in the NFL these last few years. One thing as far as each individual market that I have found that I am not successful at is touchdown scorers. Having said that, but some of that is me being greedy, trying to have a little too much fun, or trying to overthink things, or on a game like this, if I don't have anything as far as the spread of the total, I say, all right, well, I'm going to have some fun, or I think I could figure out this touchdown market. And I haven't had as much success, so I'm trying to cut that out this year. However, on certain cases where there is a angle or two that I feel confident about, I'm still going to fire away on it. And tonight is one of those cases because you have, as I mentioned, the Lions running back room is completely revamped with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs filling in for Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift. In the Montgomery situation, Montgomery is essentially filling in to some degree the Jamal Williams type role here, where Jahmyr Gibbs probably isn't going to be getting a lot of goal line carries. If you didn't remember, Jamal Williams had 17 touchdowns on the ground last year. And obviously, Montgomery is coming from a Bears offense. He is a solid goal line back. Didn't have a high volume of touchdowns. You obviously had Justin Fields in that offense last year. So it was a little bit of a dual threat. Jared Goff had exactly 0 touchdowns on the ground, so no success. I can't remember if they tried to QB sneak at all ever last year. 0 successful QB sneak touchdowns last year. Out of those 17 touchdowns that Jamal Williams had, 14 are from inside the 5, 10 are from the 1-yard line, 3 are from the 2-yard line. So 13 out of 17 touchdowns came from the 1 or the 2, 10 of them from the 1. So my point is, if the Lions get down there and get inside the 5, they're giving the ball to David Montgomery. He's smashing it through, or they're going to give it to him. If they have 3-4 chances from inside the 5, he's probably going to get a handful of chances if he can't get in there. And we're looking at it as plus money right now. Whereas Jahmyr Gibbs, this isn't to say that I don't think Jahmyr Gibbs can score a touchdown. He's just going to have to do it, probably going to have to do it from, a big play. At Alabama last year, he was fantastic. Only 1 touchdown out of, I think, 7 touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken. Only 1 of his 7 was from inside the 5. A lot of them big plays. So if he does get in the end zone, I'm assuming it's going to be a big play. So the point with that one is I think David Montgomery is being undervalued as plus money in Jamal Williams' situation by the end of the season. I mean, it wasn't 1 touchdown all across the line. He obviously had some games with multiple touchdowns, but that's a touchdown per game. And if you're giving me plus money for a guy who's essentially filling a similar role, at least in that goal line sense, Jamal Williams is a very good receiving back. David Montgomery, not quite the same guy there. But at the end of the day, inside the 10, inside the 5, especially, inside the 2, obviously, especially, if they want to do anything like they did last year where they had success, they're going to give the ball to David Montgomery, and he's going to try and pound it in there. So that is, as I said, trying to get away from taking touchdown props, but it's going to be more of a very, very concerted effort with this type of analytics, or I shouldn't say analytics, this type of trends or this type of situation where I think David Montgomery's being undervalued because you obviously have a first-round pick used in Jahmyr Gibbs, but the guy's 5'9", 200 pounds, soaking wet, so probably not going to get a lot of goal line opportunities. If DeAndre Swift wasn't getting any opportunities, Jahmyr Gibbs probably is not getting the opportunities as well. Probably going to be really good elsewhere. I think he's going to be very good, but not going to be a goal line guy, at least certainly not this year. And if you're looking at the rushing prop totals, last I checked, Montgomery was around 50. I want to say 53.5, and Jahmyr Gibbs was in the 30s. Kind of suggests that maybe he's not going to be let 100% loose tonight. Might take a couple, 3-4 weeks for him to really, really get going and for them to really, really push the envelope with him. It's 35.5, 36.5. Obviously, different books with yard props, rushing, receiving yard props are a little differing there. But essentially what I'm saying is maybe Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be good out of the passing game. His receiving total is 32.5, whereas David Montgomery is 12.5. So that's where you obviously have the different roles as far as that. The rest of the field is concerned, but I don't know what the volume of Montgomery's carries is. Obviously, the pace of the game and the score of the game, if the Lions are playing from behind, then obviously Montgomery's probably not going to hit that 54.5. But I am taking a swing with the I think I caught it 53.5. So obviously want to do your line shopping as far as that is concerned, always with everything, but rushing, receiving totals are extremely variant to book. You might have one spot that's got them 50.5. I haven't done too much digging into it, but looking at 54.5 right now, knowing that even a little bit ago I got 53.5. Want to go out and get yourself that if that's what you're interested in, but essentially still saying that I think they might be babying Jahmyr Gibbs a little bit, not unleashing him completely tonight, and they're going to let David Montgomery show the ropes a little bit, for lack of a better term there, and maybe get some solid carries. And obviously, if the Lions are winning this game, then both these guys have a chance of going over the rushing total. So again, not suggesting that Gibbs can't go over his rushing total. He's a very explosive guy. He might have 5 carries and have 40 yards, for God's sake. So not suggesting anything against Jahmyr Gibbs. I just think David Montgomery's likely to have a lot more touches on the ground tonight, certainly in the red zone there. So that is where I'm going tonight. Going a little David Montgomery action. Getting wild, obviously, if you can get some insurance on or anything like that, a little first touchdown action there. But I knew Jamal Williams had a fantastic season. Forgot how often he was in the red zone. Like I said, and to re-illustrate, I mean, I said 14 from inside, 14 of 17 touchdowns from inside the 5, 13 from the 2 or better. The outliers, the 4 outliers not from inside the 2, a 4-yard, a 7-yard, a 13-yard, and then a big 51-yard touchdown. All on the ground for Jamal Williams last year, and now you've got David Montgomery popping in there. Kansas City, for what it's worth, middle of the pack last year as far as rushing touchdowns allowed per game. Fair, nothing crazy, so not a stingy goal line rushing defense necessarily, not bad by any means. So really nothing to make there, but I at least wanted to check the box that it's not a huge concern for them here. So that is where I'm going with that one. If anyone's got any questions, any thoughts, concerns, or comments, if they've got a play or anything like that, go ahead and fire away. Another one that was interesting to me for guys that did not, obviously Patrick Mahomes, not a guy that's throwing a lot of interceptions on this specific book. I'm seeing both guys. Earlier today, it was both of them at minus 105 to throw at least one interception. Now I see Goff at minus 110. So that way, obviously, if they were both plus money, then maybe I'd fire away and hope that one of them throws a pick. I'm not saying I'm diving into that one. That's another one that I tried to decipher a little too much last year, test my luck a little bit. Didn't go anything crazy with those types of props, but tried to read into those QB interception props a little too much more. But when you have guys like this, it is a little eye-opening. People are probably going to be firing away quite a bit on taking interception props. I mean, Goff only 29 touchdowns, 7 interceptions last year. Patrick Mahomes, I don't remember what his interception total was last year, 12. So he obviously more than Jared Goff there. So, but my point is, it was a little eye-opening where I'm sure that's going to be a cookie. It looked like a cookie for a lot of people to no interceptions for either of these guys, minus 120. Definitely wouldn't be taking that one. Also, it takes a little tip pass there, but. Let's see, what else can we talk about here? I know Jahmyr Gibbs, maybe if you're looking at him, maybe you like a little rushing and receiving yard prop there, but I think David Montgomery's going to get a lot of carries. You got to get 75 yards combined for Gibbs. I don't know that he's going to be unleashed like that. I think if you want that over, I think you just go with his passing yards over, because David Montgomery is not quite the same. That's where the parallels don't match up as far as that part of the game with the revamped running back room here. So outside of that, I know obviously Amon-Ra St. Brown is a popular pick to have a nice night. I think you could see Jerick McKinnon having a nice receiving night at the very least. But obviously, as far as the Chiefs' offense is concerned, a lot of this is, I don't want to say their success necessarily isn't dependent on Travis Kelce, but their player props are. And if there's no Travis Kelce, then, there might be a lot of running back involvement here, and Pacheco and McKinnon are going to go over their receiving total here. So it's tricky. That's a gamble in and of itself that I'm not too keen on trying to decipher there. I know as far as other touchdown scorers, like I said, not trying to get myself into it too much more, because past what I told you, I don't have a ton of confidence here in it. I know as far as values, Sam Laporta is one that people like, plus 265, Lions tight end. That's not a bad one. If they are throwing the ball on the goal line, that's definitely going to be a solid option. But as you saw, maybe they'll do a little bit differently, try and keep the defense guessing a little bit. But even still, even if again, to go back to it, I'm not predicting Montgomery's going to have 15 plus touchdowns. I think if they use him in the same role, at least have double-digit touchdowns, 10 or so. But it's at least something worth noting for. I mean, they didn't bring in some just surefire red zone target or anything like that as well in free agency or the draft or anything like that. So I think you're going to see a similar story where around the goal line, inside of the 5, they're pounding the rock with Montgomery. So it is kind of tough to pick out any Lions receivers or anything like that. I see Kelce is still listed as minus 125 to catch a touchdown. If he's playing, that's obviously it's a goofy one to make because obviously if he's playing, then he's likely to potentially catch a touchdown. If he's not playing, in most cases you should be getting your money back. Hopefully there's nothing that you're doing where you're not getting your money back if that's the case. But outside of that, I'll give a pick that I have not taken, but give out a pick for my own touchdown prop for the Chiefs. I'll go with Jerick McKinnon. I guess I like the running backs, and especially if Kelsey is out, I'll say McKinnon and Pacheco both get in the end zone. But Pacheco plus 130, not a bad look at it as well. That one's obviously a really solid pick, regardless, in my opinion. But outside of that, I don't have too much else to mention here. You've got some maybe some long sleepers, maybe a little Khalif Raymond touchdown there for Detroit. There, I don't know, but no. I'm not doing too much else other than what I already told you. So hopefully you guys are being responsible. You're saving yourself for not only Sunday, but obviously we've got a huge Saturday as well of college football action. I'm not going to go. There's a few MLB games tonight, but I personally am not a fan of betting on whether it's baseball in this situation or when the NBA season is rolling around, but there's also NFL on. Don't necessarily like getting into the weeds with the second fiddle, so to speak, which the baseball slate obviously is tonight, because things can be looked at a little bit different, or the same amount of volume, the same amount of people that are betting on it aren't necessarily betting on it tonight. The average person isn't diving into these games the same way they would maybe a month ago, where nothing else is in town. So I'm not going to be talking too much about it here. Seattle, Tampa Bay, obviously a solid matchup. Actually, a handful of solid matchups, but the one that was interesting to me, Marlins are underdogs at home against the Dodgers. Tough to call. You got Braxton Garrett, who could be due for some regression. On the other hand, Pepio on the Dodgers side of things has been really, really solid in the short amount of time that he's been there. He also could be due for some regression. So I might be interested in a little Miami team total potentially there. Miami's rolling along nicely right now, so I might be taking that one back a little bit. I actually 6-11 runs the last 2 days, so maybe I'm backing off of that one a little bit. But nonetheless, that one's a little tricky now that I'm breaking it down, because either of those pitchers could be due for some regression. Yeah, Carlos Rodon on the mound for the Yankees. The Yankees obviously need to get going. I'm not saying they have any chance, but if they in their clubhouse think they have any chance, they obviously got to start rattling off some wins. I need Carlos Rodon to be a lot better. But it's another one where you got to go first 5 minus the hook, and you're still not getting plus money if that's what you're thinking there for the Yankees over Detroit. Detroit's obviously a scrappy team. I'm not a fan of the Yankees minus 165 at this in this current season after what we've seen recently. So a roundabout way of saying I've got nothing going on in baseball tonight. Cleveland and the Angels going on tonight as well as Arizona and the Cubs. Big series there. Assad on the mound for the Cubs. He could be due for some regression as well out of that starting role. So maybe I'm interested in the old D-backs team total, but nonetheless, essentially still saying that I'm sitting this one out as far as MLB. Actually, I think Arizona might be the one that I'm interested in, but again, I'm staying away from it. We got NFL tonight. That's where the eyes are tonight. So without further ado, I believe I'm playing some softball tonight. I got recruited for some softball, so I might be a little late as far as watching this football game. But if you see me celebrating David Montgomery touchdown 2 hours after it happened, you at least know what the hell's going on there. So nonetheless, I believe I will be back tomorrow. Not sure what the next few days holds. We've obviously got plenty of football and UFC happening on Saturday as well. So an awesome weekend of sports action, football action as well. So excited for football season to be back. We have made it. The long summer is over. But nonetheless, we've got plenty of stuff coming down for you. I'm planning on doing Big Ten shows. Just don't know. This week's games are a little goofy. Scheduling this week for me was a little goofy as well. I don't have mornings available like I normally would on a Friday or something like that. So hopefully in the future we can start bringing on these Big Ten shows to you as well, getting you geared up for Big Ten football. Decent little slate as far as that is concerned this weekend. But a couple of decent games, but nothing's too crazy. But obviously, we got some good matchups in college football as a whole. So stay tuned for whatever the hell is going on this weekend. I know there's going to be some East Coast Sports Investors shows, handful of shows tomorrow that you need to be tuned into. But aside from that, I hope y'all have a fantastic evening of sports wagering tonight. Hopefully, you're being responsible. Don't be forcing things on night one. You don't want to blow everything before the first Sunday even shows up, let alone the 18 weeks of NFL action that we've got. So stay true to yourself. Don't force anything tonight. Pump the brakes if you're not sure. I know you want to have some fun, but it can get tricky, and you could be 5 units down, or hopefully not that many, but 2-3 units down even before Saturday even comes along. So you don't want that to happen. If you don't feel good about something, don't do it. Just don't do it. So without further ado, I will get out of here. I am excited to enjoy tonight's games. Hope y'all are as well, and I will see y'all later. Best of luck on the weekend of football as well if I don't see you by then as well. Thank y'all for stopping by.